to you live
from Skywalker Studio.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to the Skywalker Show, live with my boy Big Game James. We got a special guest in the building. Safety George IIoka, former Cowboy, Viking, and Bengal, host of the Gym Bag podcast. We already had fun prior, and I'm ready to have some fun with this one. What's up, George?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. It's gonna be a good episode today. I can tell you that.
Oh, I'm feeling it already. We almost had an episode prior to this.
We had an episode before the episode.
That was
kicking it.
That was some great content right there. They missed out on. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm pretty sure there'll be more. Definitely, if they tune into your podcast, let them know actually where they can find this out or find
All
this
right.
at.
All right, I'm the co-host of the Gym Bag podcast. We're on Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Google. So we've been out for like 2.5 months. It's a football mainly kind of podcast, but we dabble on some other sports when it's an appropriate topic. Because obviously the main sport in America is football. It's what I played. It's what I know. It's what I give great insight and perspective on. So please subscribe on there and follow us on Instagram at the Gym Bag podcast.
Yes. Hey, so again, I need you guys to really follow this podcast. It's in my playlist. He's a player in the league. So, I mean, you're not going to get too many guys that are playing now, giving their perspective, and he's very in-depth on what he has to say. Big Game, you want to start off with the big bang, per se, what's going on with the NFL for George?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to come off the rip. When we're talking about this CBA, the CBA is getting ready to go down. I talked to a couple people. One of my guys from ESPN Kansas City said that, next week, because they're going to be convening in Indianapolis. Already heard J.J. Watt say that's a hard no on the CBA talks or their proposal. George, what's your kind of thoughts on this as far as this proposal? And do you think that the NBA players are going to sign this, or is this going to head toward a lockout?
Well, we'll get to if they're going to sign it. That part is kind of hard to. I don't know, but I'll tell you this: they shouldn't sign it. Any deal off the rip that doesn't have a 50-50 split, or the players don't get lifetime medical, it's a win for the owners. So all those other things, I don't want to call small potatoes, but in the grand scheme of things, that's small potatoes. Because we all talking about, right, cash and health. To me, that's the two most important things when it comes to this negotiation. All the other things, these little benefits, this when you're tweaking it from 55 to 53 on game day, expanding the roster, this is great. This is going to help plenty of players out. But it's small potatoes in the big scheme of things. That's why they threw it on the table. And when it comes to negotiating, no matter what it is, I would never advise anybody if it comes to houses, cars, CBAs, anything. If you're negotiating food at a grocery store, never bite it. Never bite at the first deal. This is the first deal, okay? This is the first real legitimate offer on the table. To me, if I'm the player, if I'm the NFLPA, this is the floor. All right, and people say there's a threat of, well, they can take some things back. Stick to your guns. I mean, that's the art of negotiating. So I don't like this current deal. The fact that it's not a 50-50 split. They're trying to add an extra game. How do you add an extra game? How do you add an extra game, but don't add no extra money? And when I'm saying money, I'm talking about the split.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because we're seeing a lot of players push back on the 17-game slate here. Is this universal amongst the players that we don't want this 17 games because you're not really caring about our well-being with the proposed deal with the 17 games included?
All right, let's call a spade a spade. Football is a dangerous sport in general. Yes. All right, every time we put our bodies out there on the line every Sunday, every time we go on that practice field. Now, it's just what you're willing to risk and put your body under, right? 17 games for a league that says they care about player health and player safety doesn't make sense when you haven't done anything from a health standpoint to help us out. How do you add an extra game, like we talked about, without adding lifetime medical? You see what I'm saying? If that was a trade-off, okay, this extra game is going to put my body in extreme jeopardy, okay? And after I'm done playing, you're not going to take care of this. It doesn't make sense. So what do you want to come? Are you willing to add more money into the pie? right now they're sitting at 48, 52 split.
48,
I think they said.
48
I think they said
I
it.
think actually.
Yeah, and if they sign a deal by a certain time, or if they if they go 17 games, I think they said they go 48-5. No, listen, 50-50. What do we? 52%. I don't. It's just 32 teams dividing the pie when you have 1,700 players a year-ish splitting the pot. So it doesn't make sense. I don't think players for sure are not with the 17 game, but it's something that they be comfortable with if you fix that split and if you add lifetime medical.
Is there some things about the current offer that you do like? I know they're trying to add to the practice squad. They're trying to help out the smaller guys like the practice squad guys or the fringe roster guys. Do you think those additions? I think they want to up the game day roster to 48 players. Is it big game? I can't remember. It's 40. Is it 48? Yeah, 46 on game day.
Well, yes, from 46 to 48, and then they're adding if a player on injured reserve, they're adding one more player that you can bring up. But I think the biggest thing that they're trying to throw at the players is that marijuana.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Small potatoes. Listen to this. Here's a little nugget, and it's crazy. Like me personally, I don't smoke marijuana, but I got a lot of friends that smoke. And I don't got no problem with it. First of all, it's just a plant, and it's way better for you than all these drugs that they give us in the league. Guaranteed, trust me on that. But it's small potatoes in the big scheme of things. And players, we got to be smarter than to fall for this carrot that they're throwing in front of us. Because they literally came to us like a year and a half ago, just pre-talks about the CBA. And the PA flat out, I won't tell you which guy, flat out told us like, oh, okay, we can throw in this marijuana thing in here, but we're going to lose this, and that. And you would be surprised how many guys raise their hand for this marijuana versus actual money. I'm like, are you serious?
Wow,
first of all, just to keep it all the way lit, all the way 100, I don't have no sympathy for dudes. Hear me out. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna stand on this. I don't have no sympathy for dudes that get popped because you can really legit smoke whenever you want. You just got to put the weed down for about 6 weeks to 2 months.
That's what I hear.
They only test a certain window.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, they only test a certain. If you can't put it down for 2 months, I have no sympathy for you, bro. Like, and when it's coming. It's not a surprise. You come back for OTAs. When that period starts. It's like, all right. And then if you get tested early, then you good. So it's like, no. So now that again, small potatoes. Like, come on, man. Weed or money?
Y'all hear this? Y'all hear this insight, Cowboys Nation?
But here's the thing, though, George. In real life, them cats be choosing weed over money, dog. Like cats in real life, cats be choosing weed over money, and they've been begging. I'm not saying it's right, George, but I'm saying they've been begging for this weed. So they like, yeah, I can smoke as much as I want. Hand up, and they know, like you said, they're dangling that carrot because they know they're gonna bite for it. Yeah, we'll give you that weed, but guess what we're gonna do to you for you to get smoking that weed?
Yeah,
we're gonna do all this stuff, and then after you get done smoking and that blunt is going away, and you come back to reality, and then you look at that thing that you just signed, you're like, uh-oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. I was so shocked. I was like, if y'all don't put y'all hands down, but I'll say this, there was enough pushback. There was like 60% of the guys on that team was like, no, we're not. What? Are you serious? We could get weed, but we have to play. No, this is. Oh my God!
And that's where,
again, like I said, and it's not like you can't. Like I said, I'm keeping it real. It's not like you can't. You can, just not 2 months out the year. So 2 months or money. Come on, man. This is like
you ain't gotta tell me. I tell that to everybody. If I'm an NFL player and you mean to tell me all I have to do is not smoke weed for 2 months and I'll make a $6 million check?
I can do it.
Come on, man. And I'm an advocate for 420. I am. But I didn't know. I didn't know they did.
I guarantee you, I'm not gonna lose my cash over that.
No.
Oh my gosh! I was so shocked. I was like, "We serious? Like this is what we doing, man? This don't make no sense." But
see, that's why guys like you, veterans, guys who's been around the league, have to put their heads together and check these guys who just want to, sign a deal and not realizing that hey, we're getting screwed here because they want a quick fix per se.
Yeah.
And you know what else, George? I wanted to say this because I had Anthony Wright, former quarterback with the Cowboys, and that's one of the things he was telling me, and I interviewed him a year ago, and that's one of the main things he told me. He was like, do you know that once we retire, I think correct me if I'm wrong, he said 5 years. You get 5 years of health insurance, and after that, it's done.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing, and that's why I came back and talked about how can you add an extra game, put us under more risk health wise, and not provide lifetime medical? Do people know that Roger Goodell and his contract negotiation with the league, he bargained for lifetime medical? Now,
Wow.
salute to him because
Wow.
he was able to stand on that right. But I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet, from a physical standpoint, he does not put his body in a physical in harm the way players do. Yet he got lifetime medical. So I don't want to hear when people say like, "Oh well, you can just pay for it like everybody else." So could have Roger Goodell, but he negotiated it, and I feel like players need to stand together, stand strong. Which is another discussion. This is hard because it's so the difference between the NBA, MLB, and the NFL is just so many guys in the NFL. It's a lot bigger, and I would argue demographically that it's a wider range of people. So it's hard to get everybody pulling in the same direction and be like, hey, we gotta lock out, we gotta hold out, we gotta stand on this when people got different situations going on. And that's facts because I used to look at it from like one lens and say, man, why can't we? But I see guys coming to the league and right away they the breadwinners of their family. They got to support about 3, 4, 5 people, and they not trying to hear what you're talking about. Well, in the long run, 5 years from now, this right here is gonna benefit you more. And they like, man, I hear you, but forget all that.
I gotta eat.
I got
Right.
I gotta eat.
We
My
gotta
family,
eat.
my family. I got about 4 or 5 people I gotta support. So it's harder and it's unfortunate, and that's what plays into the owner's favor because they know, yeah, you probably got 50% of the guys, 60% of the guys that might want to hold out, 40% can't.
Yep.
Can't or won't. If that makes sense.
No, that makes
So,
sense.
it makes perfect
You're talking
sense.
about the guys like we said, the practice squad guys or the fringe roster guys, the guys who are getting, good paydays, but not the 1% per se, which is more than 1%, but the Drew Breeses and the Tom
Yeah.
Brady's, the Ezekiel Elliott's who are making 14, 15, 20, 30 million dollars a year. The league is not consistent of all those guys. They're mostly consistent of guys who aren't making half of that. So are they going to sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, let's stand up. Let's fight for something 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road and not get a check to feed my family? That's hard to do sheerly based off the numbers of the NFL compared to the NBA.
Facts. And also, though, I would say this too, because I'm not going to get everybody out. There's a lot of guys that got that situation when they got to support people. And there is the 1% like the Drew Brees. But a lot of guys, I would say, even if you get one contract, right, you should be able to hold out for at least 2 years, 3. I'll say 1 year. At least you should be able to hold out
A
for
very
1
minimum
year.
1 year.
But at 1 year. But the issue is, and I came on a lot of guys, there's not too many. I don't know. I feel like I haven't really worked anywhere else. But like you said, you come into the NFL and your rookie contract, rookie minimum, when I came into the league, let's say it's like 420, all right, 450. And then there's a guy who's making 30 million a year. But you all pretty much live together in this environment, in this workspace. We spend the whole day with each other, and you're all around, and you're in the NFL, and you see the lifestyle, and you feel like, well, if we're all here, I should be living kind of this same lifestyle. But it's not the case. So what I'm saying is a lot of guys within that first check, they run right through it. So there is nothing left over where they can hold out for a year. They made the bag and they spent it. So that falls into a lot of guys' situation. A lot of guys, they don't pay themselves, so to say. They get paid and they go ahead and pay everything, pay everybody else, pay the government, buy this, buy that, and then they get caught in a situation where they need that next check. So in that situation, I understand as well, but that plays into the reason why it's hard for NFL players to hold out.
I got a question similar about that. When you come into the league, is there a program for rookies or young guys to get into that helps them financially, that helps them understand the ways of the league in regards to their contract and spending money? Or
Yes.
Okay.
No, there's plenty of programs. So there used to be what did they used to call it? I went to it because I think my years of last
Was
year.
it like that synopsis? Rookie synopsis?
Rookie Symposium. Rookie Symposium, is that what it's called?
Oh,
I
is
Something
that
like that. I don't
Yeah,
know. You
it's
might
like-
be right. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
Who cares?
I think it's like the Rookie Symposium. There's like 3-4 days, and it's nothing but that kind of things. Talking about making the right decisions off the field, financial guidance, all these things. Now, then they gravitated towards the same thing, but now each team does it individually, throughout the whole entire OTA, so to say. Like once the rookies come in, probably like a 5-6 week program because they did this when I was with the Bengals, and they'll bring a financial advisor in, they'll bring counselors in. So they try. Again, like I always say, it's kind of hard when we don't have naturally generational discipline. You know, you. So I mean, if we just keeping the facts, like we are brothers right here. So it's to tell, and you can, but it's hard. Like and again, there's some players like even if they know what you're saying is right, they're not trying to hear that because the difference between like if we getting real now, this is getting a little off sports, but
That's good.
when we talk about we're talking about like African American players in general and just what we got to go through here in America. A lot of times, if you become the first one to make it out, we have
supporting everybody.
Yeah, we have the responsibility, whether real or just how it feels, that you got to pull everybody out of the situation, and that's harder to do. Versus majority, there is no numbers for this. When other players, when they make it, they just have to worry about themselves. So even when they hear this financial advice, they hear it, but it's hard when, like I said, you got your mama, you got your brother, they struggling. You know what I mean? Like it's just different. So, but there is programs, and it's hard. It's hard. It comes. The reason why I would say a lot of players, fall on hard times after they retire is because of the situations that they came from prior to even making it to the NFL, and to compound that with bad decisions made while in the NFL. But those two things together leads to why I feel like we have the highest numbers in all of the other major sports.
Absolutely agree, man. Absolutely agree. Now, you were with the Cowboys in the offseason, and I know from listening to other people that play with the Cowboys, they talk. I got to ask him this question, Big Game.
Jeff Heath. Jeff Heath.
Not Jeff. No, not Jeff. Look, he trying to go ham right there with that one. I know where you're going. What I want to know though is because me and James got this thing about the Cowboys, man. We feel like sometimes it's a little Hollywood. It can be that way with the stadium and the star and all that stuff. But being a player that was there, that was around that team, that organization, man, what did it feel like to you? What was your impressions with the organization?
I didn't feel like it was like Hollywood in the sense like it was bigger. Obviously, everything's bigger in Texas. It's the Dallas Cowboys. What is the number one franchise in sports? I think. Yeah. So you get that feel like they don't hold back when it comes to whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's facility. If we're just taking a trip to Hawaii, like everything is done bigger and better. But amongst the players, I would say this, like Jason Garrett gets a lot of flack. Jason Garrett, to me, did a good job, and the team felt very humble in the sense of it was old school. Like it had that college feel. So as a player, when I hear Hollywood or Hollywood teams to me that, don't get down, they don't get dirty. They, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of, we got this, or it wasn't that feel. It was, they really worked their ass off there when we were there. Like it was honestly, I used to tell my other homeboy who plays for a different team, I used to be like, man, hey, maybe I was with Cincinnati and Minnesota too long because this got me feeling like I'm in college again. Like the kind of workouts, the kind of just like, I don't say old school, but just like how they like everything, how they measure time, everything, the off season programs, how they even wanted you there through February and March, and it's like whoa, OTAs ain't until April, like so. Now it wasn't a Hollywood. I never got that Hollywood feel in terms of the Dallas Cowboys whatsoever. The only thing you can maybe say is, but they just came off that success the year before where they made it to the second round?
Yes, the divisional round.
Yeah, you could get the feel like, oh, this is a team that had success the year before because there's a lot of confidence, a lot of like, oh, this is where we're at last year, this is where we're gonna go this year. But that's common around every team because when I was on Minnesota the year before, same thing. Like they lost in the
Miracle.
NFC, they lost in the NFC Championship, I think. Who they lose to? Or is it? I know they beat New Orleans.
They lost to the Eagles in the championship game.
You're right. You know what I mean? So that wasn't different with the Cowboys. Like when a team has success the year before, you're going to come into the next year confident. Like that's how you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So I didn't get that Hollywood feel at all. Nah.
James, you wanted to ask him about Jeff. Go ahead.
Well, I ain't gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about Jeff here in a second. I want to talk about Dak Prescott because everybody's been talking about him. Darren Woodson just came out in the media. We heard about what Emmitt Smith said, which was absolute garbage, what he said, in my opinion. That was crazy in my dome that he said that. When this dude held out and he wanted to get his money and all that good stuff, the fact that Darren Woodson comes out and said that's a slap in the face for Dak Prescott to take a lower deal for the whole team. Now we just hear that, you know what, Stephen Jones and them ain't talked to their agent in forever. Why is Dak Prescott getting this disrespect, in my opinion? You come from a fourth-round pick who wasn't supposed to play at all for the first few years. You've put up numbers that nobody expected. Why is the weight on him getting a deal signed, in your opinion?
Well, I'll say first of all, I gotta say this. I disagree with Emmett. I don't think any player. I'm never gonna really tell a player to take a hometown discount on any team, but especially not a guy like Dak Prescott, because one, he was a fourth-round pick. Two, this is his first contract. The second contract, okay, look out for the team. You know, they did you good, but now, so I disagree with that, and I'm glad Darren Woodson came out and pushed back on that notion. What's the holdup? I got no real insight from my time in that organization, but I can say how it feels to me. A guy who's done what he's done, he's only gotten better. Last year, we know the numbers he put up. We'll talk about the team going 8-8 or whatever. You know that can fall on the quarterback. It cannot, whatever the case may be. But I would just say this is how I would internalize it. I would feel like you're not sold on me as a guy, because you know what I mean. So like, because I just feel like all the other quarterbacks, you know, we could talk about Jared Goff, we could talk about Carson Wentz, we could talk about Patrick Mahomes that's coming up. When their time is when it's close enough, when they can get paid and read up, the teams just give them a blank check and they be like, sign what you want, let's go. We got to make this work. And for whatever reason with Dak, it's like, it ain't a blank check. It's like, oh, this is what we're trying to give you. Help us out, this and that. No. On my podcast, we do a segment called Retweet or Delete.
I love that segment, by the way.
We interviewed Cheeto last week. The sound quality, for whatever reason, came out pretty bad because he was in the barbershop. But anyway, he said, I asked him that question, and this is crazy. It was like the day before Emmitt Smith even came out and said what he said. It was like almost like we spoke into existence. But I found a tweet where someone was saying Dak should take a hometown discount or shouldn't. And Cheeto even agreed. It was like, I wouldn't. I think, and Cheeto was like, I think it's a slap in the face too. He's like, why would you take a hometown discount when you had all last year to sign him? Now, piggyback off of what Cheeto said, you had all last year to sign him. These are the guys who are the great players and they deserve their money, but these are all the guys you signed before your franchise quarterback. DeMarcus Lawrence deserves his money, Pro Bowl player. Jalen Smith, inside linebacker, great player, obviously a Pro Bowl this year. They paid so many guys before you paid the main piece of your
organization, Collins,
which is, you know what I'm saying, Landell Collins. You pay all these people before your quarterback. Now you got to me, and you're trying to tell me to take the hometown discount to make all this work. You should have made. We're forgetting one more. Ezekiel Elliott. I forgot about him. So we paid all these people, about 4 people, right? Big time contracts before him, and now we're trying to make it work. No, the first piece should have been him, and then we see where the chips fall. So. Again, I don't know what the holdup is. I would just feel like, outside looking in, if you're sold on him being your guy, most teams, when it's a quarterback and they're sold on him, they just give them the blank check, because there's no guarantee you can get a quarterback like if a quarterback that you're sold on in the draft or in free agency. So I don't see why you would even threaten to even let it not work out. And then you can say the franchise tag, 'cause that's another topic, right?
That's a no-no.
Has it ever worked out, the franchise tag for a quarterback?
Right.
No. So I don't think that's the right route. If you believe in him, then the franchise tag is dumb, right? If the franchise tag is for a team that's like, we're not sold on you yet, kind of like the Washington Redskins weren't sold on Kirk Cousins, right? So, and if you're not sold on him, just let him walk, because then you're just wasting 2 years of a big cap hit for a quarterback you're not sold on. So I don't know what the deal is.
Here's my theory.
He deserves his money.
Here's my theory on. I think this team is sold on Dak Prescott per se. But this is Stephen Jones. This is how they operate for whatever reason. If you go back and look at the history of these contract negotiations, Des Bryant, DeMarcus Lawrence, guys like Ezekiel Elliott, guys that fight for what they believe.
Romo.
Or because he didn't fight for anything. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing to fight for. But hear me out. The guys that fight for what they are worth, what they want, these guys drag it through the media far too often. And when it's a guy who, hey, we'll take a team-friendly deal, like Al Collins, no offense. We'll take a team-friendly deal and get paid off endorsements because that's what Jalen Smith said. Hey, he took it, no offense. But when guys say, hey, listen, man.
Jalen's situation was different, though. He got paid about two. I was like, when he got, was I there? Yeah, I was there. When he got paid, I was like, well, that caught me off guard. I was like, man, what's it?
Caught all of us off guard.
I was like, what? Not from, is he a good player? I was just like, wait, how many years he got left? Yeah. Oh, wow, they re-signed him early when you had all these players that are about to be free agents. So that caught me off guard. So in his situation, it made sense because let's face it, like we just talked about the NFL, you can get hurt at any point. He's already been hurt in college. What is this? I forgot. What does the saying go? With the bird in the bush and the hand, whatever. You get what I'm going at with
this. Bird in the hand's worth more than the bush.
Yes, that situation, that was him, and that made sense in his situation. But that situation ain't Jalen's situation.
No, not at all.
My bad.
Not at all. I agree with you. Jalen, Lyle Collins. There's a few other guys who didn't have to fight for theirs because they're like, oh, I'll take it. Lyle was like, yeah, dang, Skippy, I'll take it. I want to be in Dallas. I'll be the highest paid right tackle. I'll take it. Jalen Smith is like, sure, I'm not number one, but I want to be in Dallas, and I got pitched the off-field stuff, and he did. Look at his endorsement since then, and he loves it here. And like you said, he got paid 2 years prior than he needed to get paid. But guys like Dez, Dak, and Zeke, they fight it out because they want what they're worth. Eventually, the Cowboys cave. They do. So I think they want Dak here, but I'm with you in the sense of this is your franchise quarterback, right? If I'm your franchise quarterback, like you keep saying I'm your franchise quarterback, then let's get it done. It's not like I don't want to get it done. Let's get it done. Did you hear all this in the media with Jared Goff, Carson Wentz?
They gave him the blank check. Listen, I'm with you.
Here's my thing, though. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, George, but here's just my quick thing. This is my problem. What frustrates me out of all this, when you had Romo in the building, okay, and Romo got hurt, and you elevated Dak. Romo got hurt, Kellen Moore got hurt, you elevated Dak. Romo came back within week 10, and you had the opportunity to say, Dak Prescott, sit down. We're going to go back to Romo. We love what you did, but we still don't feel like you're ready, and we're going to go with Romo. You know what they said? They said, no. Romo, I'm sorry, this is our guy. They decided to say, we're going with Dak Prescott, and Romo retired, right?
Yeah.
So if that happened, there is no way in hell that you should still be waiting for a contract when you had a franchise quarterback that you could have went back to. You denied him and said, no, we're rolling with Dak Prescott. So once you said that, in my eyes, you said this is our franchise guy. So there's no excuses whatsoever. I don't want to hear anything from Stephen Jones or that organization talking about he's our priority. He's our priority. Well, if he's your priority, like Romo was your priority when you signed him to a pretty good deal after 17 games, Dak Prescott has played almost 70, and you're still like, well, we need to – no, I'm going with you, George. I don't know if they believe it because there was an article that Mike Fisher even came out last year where Jerry Jones was going through organization. Is Dak Prescott our guy? Is Dak Prescott our guy? Is he our franchise guy? If you're going through the organization asking that, to me, you don't believe in him. And maybe they will sign him, but sign him or move on, like you said. Stop with this game stuff because you're going to hurt other things because now we don't know what's going to happen with these two tags. There's no reason why you had to delay, and even Dak Prescott came out and said, you know what, I thought it was going to get done last year. So that just makes me think y'all don't believe in him. That last year was this prove-it deal, and he threw for 4,900 yards.
That's what I'm talking about. And picking and keeping it all the way funky, because I agree with you, Will. It's just being around this league. Nice guys finish last.
Yeah,
and,
you said that.
They do not. He got to take the gloves off because, just like I said,
go watch that episode, y'all. Go listen to that.
When I talk about he needs to take the glove off because in the NFL, majority of the time, guys who are not the model citizen, guys who don't do things right, like the team always tries to preach, they still get rewarded. Like you can say all these things, but hey, people talking dollars and cents, right? Yeah. And so what I'm saying by that, Ezekiel Elliott, great dude, obviously great player, no character issues in my opinion. My time there, great teammate, great leader, all those things. but he has a pass, right?
Yes.
He's been suspended by the league at one point, right? Yes, they pass, right? People change and all these things, but he's been in trouble. Let's put it like that. He held out down in Mexico, Cabo, wherever he was at. He was training, but he didn't come to the off-season workouts and things like that. He was away in training camp, and he got paid. Turned out to be the highest paid running back in league history at the time he signed his contract. What am I saying? And then you got on the other side, you have Dak Prescott. Here's a quarterback.
Citizen.
He hasn't been in trouble, right? Off the field, from what I know, right? Model citizen. This dude's in there. He leads the captain workouts like from February throughout the whole offseason. Does everything right. Hasn't missed a game. Answers every answer to the media in the most political way possible, so there's no controversy. Whenever the deal gets done, the deal gets done. Just the best way. You know, it's not the truth, but it's just a model example of what teams say we want in a player, and yet you don't reward him. He got to take the gloves off. He has a new coach. If there's a time to hold the organization hostage, it's right now. You got a new coach, and we got a new coach. I know they kept Kellen, but I'm guarantee you the verbiage is going to be a little different. Some things are going to be different. You can't move. You can't do anything in the offseason without your quarterback, because timing you can't replicate. With a running back, with Ezekiel being out, obviously Tony Pollard could be a great player, but with the running back, you're just handing the ball off. All the work is done after that. You know, what Zeke does is what Zeke does after he gets the ball. You can't really replicate that. But the timing is the timing. With a quarterback, you have to be there. So Dak has to use this time, use this new coach, this new transition, and say, listen, I'm not showing up till we get this contract done. If you put me on a franchise tag, I'm still not showing up. Hold it hostage. Like, show your hand. We got to do something. Like, nice guys finish last. And he's a great dude, great player. You know what I'm saying? A tremendous leader in my time there. And so it's like, no, he has not got rewarded for being a great player and being a great example of what it is to be a teammate. So, yeah, it's time. It's time, Dak.
It's time. And with that, I have to do one of these right quick. 'Cause that was some fire, bro. That was some fire. Hey, there's another guy who has some contract situations there, and you probably dealt with one up against a little bit in training camp and whatnot. Amari Cooper, that one there is a little bit on the hush-hush, because isn't that kind of how Coop is, really? I mean, he's not a guy who's flamboyant out in the media, and I guess his team is doing the same thing. They're keeping it close to the vest. What is your take on that? Because I did listen to the episode a while back about Dak, and it was very opinionated, and I loved it. But I didn't hear you guys talk about Coop. What's your thought on Amari Cooper and his situation? Should he come back? Is that too like? I don't want you to count anybody's pockets, but we just saw a team, win the Super Bowl that had a nice wide receiver, a nice tight end, but we also saw a team in the Super Bowl that didn't have a number one wide receiver. So it's like, what do you think here?
Well, first of all, Coop, he's a man of few words. All he does, listen, when I was there, all he does is line up and route fools up. He don't say much. I remember playing him his rookie year, and I was with Pac-Man. Y'all know him.
Yeah.
Pac-Man be talking. Coop ain't say not one word. Just line up, went back to the huddle. But anyways, about Coop's situation, like you say, he don't talk too much. He deserves his money. I believe Dak needs to get paid first, because we just talked about the importance of the quarterback. But Dallas will look real foolish if they don't somehow re-sign Amari, for the simple fact that what they gave up. You gave up first round picks to get. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's picks you could have used this year, last year, whatever the case, whatever years those first round picks were. So you just look real foolish if you did all that for a guy not to re-sign him. Okay, so a lot of teams now, the difference between the Patriots and a lot of teams, the Patriots, they admit their mistake quicker rather than they cut. Like, hey, we made a mistake. They just cut ties right away. I'm not saying that's the case with Amari. I think he's panned out.
Yeah, that wasn't a mistake.
Right, I'm just saying, but other teams would let the fact that they gave up, let's say, a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and be like, man, we can't look foolish. Hey, we gotta resign him and get him an extension. They'd be like, nah, we just made a mistake. We're not about to make it worse. So my point is, that's a lot of pressure on the organization. Like, you already gave up a lot for him. They have to make it work. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he's one of those guys, if he hits the open market, that he'll. Just like Byron Jones, he will.
Oh yeah.
Listen, because I don't really know too much about the situation. I believe he's a great player. I believe they got to re-sign him because he's a great player. But there's not too many guys in this league that I would say, oh, you can't win without. If that makes sense. But that being said, man, they messed up. They dropped the ball just for the simple fact of Byron Jones about to be a free agent. Amari about to be a free agent. Dak about to be a free agent. It's only harder when you got to bid against other teams. I mean, it doesn't get easier. The
That's
hard part was in the season. Okay, like that's honestly as a player, because I've been in the same situation. The team offered me a contract extension going into my contract year at the beginning of the year. I didn't like it. I waited to free agency, but that whole year was stressful because you get hurt
get hurt.
or have a bad year. That's that. But once you make it through, now there's nothing that's gonna happen for me from now to free agency that can hurt my stock. So I'm waiting. If I'm any of those guys, I'm gonna wait and we'll see what other teams at least talking about, because that adds more power, more leverage with the current team that you just playing for that wants to resign you. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but they got to make it work. They will make it work. They just better start with Dak. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Coop said he'll wait. I've read that up. He said, "Hey, I'll wait this thing out," and he didn't want to talk about it during the season. He said, "I'll wait on it."
Yeah, he like I said, he a good dude. I think he likes it in Dallas. I think him and Michael Gallup could be a crazy 1-2 combination.
Man,
I mean, there's times in the year where I think Amari Cooper is better than Michael Gallup currently, and I believe he has a higher ceiling, and that's just my opinion. But watching games last year, here and there, Gallup at times was looking like he was the guy. Okay, like he was looking like the number one receiver. I mean, what game was it when they kept Amari on the sideline with late in the fourth quarter, and was it LA? Right, kept
Philly.
Philly, and threw it to Michael Gallup, I think twice in the red zone. My point is, Michael Gallup he's a dog himself, really a number one receiver. But I think that complement of one another, that 1-2 punch, could be very great for Dallas in the upcoming years. It's just, can you make it all work?
Got to bring Coop back.
Yeah, I'm saying,
yeah.
got to. But if you can make it work in the salary cap, that'll play well to them. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I got a quick couple questions for you. Yeah, I got a quick couple of questions. I got a couple people. My God, Law Nation, salute to you, Miss Scouting Pro, everybody that's in the feed. 2 questions. One, that Law Nation asked, do you think Amari Cooper is soft? And then the second question is from the people in here was, why didn't you make the team?
All right, Amari Cooper, to me, he's not soft. Don't confuse
quiet
or passive with being soft. Okay. Why did I make the team? I also keep it as funky as possible.
If you can keep it as 100 as possible.
When you play long enough, I think Dallas was locked in and comfortable in their situation. If you just put it like that, like they were comfortable. They were comfortable
with Jeff Heath.
They were comfortable and locked into their situation. And I'm not saying that from a position of why you saying like why would I say that? Because from my time there, I just personally felt like they were locked in. They were locked in. They're comfortable. They knew what they knew.
We can tell that as fans.
So basically, they were like, you know what? We're bringing you in because people are crying about a safety. They want to replace Jeff Heath, but deep in our heart, we want Jeff Heath to start. No matter what you do, Jeff Heath is still going to be there. Is that what you're saying to me? I'm
saying they like their situation. I mean,
they did.
I mean, that's any team. You go to any team, like some people, every team likes sometimes what they like, and they're comfortable. They like the situation, and personally, Jeff Heath was a good dude. Like in my time there, he was a good teammate. I had no quarrels with him. He was a good leader, solid leader. Works hard. He's actually a better athlete than you would be surprised. Like when it comes to testing, like I realized that right away. When it comes to like sheer numbers, he gonna test well on everything. Whether it's the 40,
I think he ran a 4.4 40.
Yeah, he ran a 4.43.
Vertical, like we do all those testing numbers in the off season, and he's always like 1 or 2 between him and Cheeto. So now he's a great athlete, great teammate, and he's been in their system for a long time. Coach Garrett told a story to the whole team when I was there about like when he fell in love with Jeff Heath. So, and he's had some years there. So it is what it is. Like, and then I got hurt.
Yeah, I noticed you got surgery right after.
Yeah, I had surgery, but I believe even if I didn't have surgery, that I most likely wasn't going to make that team because I felt personally that they were comfortable in their situation, because I would just feel like at times, no matter what I would do, it wasn't changing the amount of like,
How they
looks,
felt.
or how things were going. And
Yep.
if you
I
play
feel you.
football, if you played football, if you were players would know what I'm saying when I say that. They'll understand the difference between what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
And that's cool because it's business. So there's no bitterness about that. Like, hey,
Yes.
it worked out for them how they worked out for them. The team was 8-8, and the secondary was pretty solid out there. I think they were like top 10 in passing yards.
It was up and down.
It was up and down. I mean,
Statistically,
they weren't hateful. They didn't get no turnovers on the ball.
right.
That's
They weren't getting burnt all year, but they weren't making plays. So it was kind of it was give and take.
It was give and take, yeah, for sure. So no, it's all love, honestly, because the team, the dudes, the players was dope. That was, they embraced me as soon as I got in. As a vet, taught me what they could, and it was great. Even the coaches, they kind of
now.
Yeah, it's overhauled. It's up out of there, but yeah.
I got a question for one of the viewers. It's more so about your position. One of our viewers, Stevie Mack, he wanted to know, are you a better fit at strong safety, free safety? Doesn't matter. And do you feel as though some teams may have played you out of position?
Oh, absolutely. Whoever said that probably watched my time with the Bengals. Honestly,
that's crazy that you said absolutely right away. Like he knew that.
Absolutely.
I actually went to Dallas because I had the opportunity, and here's like, these are like things you probably like think about as a player, like, man, shit, I was going here. So I had the opportunity to go to the Raiders and Dallas. The Raiders was my former coach, and Paul Gunther. I was under him in Cincinnati for some years. Before him, it was Zim, but it's the same defense. And in that system, I was playing the free safety position. It was like a quarter system, but majority of the time we're in cover 3, I was in the middle of the field. I was in the post. I wasn't in the box. And I did it. And I did it because that's what they asked me to do. I felt comfortable doing it. But I didn't feel like that was playing to my best strengths, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was something, but you always got to be versatile in the league. You can't be one-dimensional, if that makes sense. So you got to be able to cover. You got to be able to play in cover. You got to be able to blitz. You got to do all these things. But there's certain things you do better than others. So I played free safety the majority of my career, and I did well at it. That's why I've played as many years as I did. But I always felt most comfortable in the box. I always felt like, man, that's where I could really make impact. And so when it came between the Raiders and Dallas, I knew what kind of system they ran. It was that same system in Seattle, like with a true strong safety, like down in the box. And so that really, enticed me to go there, because I'm like, man, I get to actually do what I know I can do. This is what I do well. And they let me play that position. That's what we talked about in my visit there. So that's really why I went to Dallas. I really could play any position. I played corner in college because we lost like 3 corners. I was a safety my whole time, and then my senior year we lost like 4 corners, and I was playing boundary corner for like 2-3 games. So I feel like to be in today's NFL, you got to be versatile.
Yes.
And I really pride myself on being versatile. Even though I'm 6'3.5", 222, I play and move like a free safety. Like,
I think that's
how
why they put you there. They was like, man, he's so agile and he got range for his size.
I mean,
but,
you was tearing it up at Cincy, boy.
So that's how you got to do it. But I would love to get down back in that box. But shoot, in this position, in this time in my career, shoot, whatever team needs me to do, I'm with it. If they need me to go play linebacker, cool. If they need me to run down there on punt, I'm with it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, if I had a choice, strong safety down that box on that line of scrimmage, putting my hat on some people, because that's what I love to do.
Real quick, James, because I want to point this out. When you said we reminded you of the Seattle situation, we got a guy in Dallas that was with Seattle during those Legion of Boom times. Now, listen, I followed you since you were at Boise State. I wanted us to draft you, but we didn't. Followed you at Cincinnati, and when you hit the market, I was advocating for you when we got Chris Richard the first year. I'm like, man, this is that he loves size. He's 6'4". I'll put you up to 6'4". I don't care. He's 6'4". He's 2-something. He's versatile. He was a perfect fit, in my opinion, for Chris Richard. Didn't happen that year. We eventually got you the next year. But when your time there with Chris Richard, was there – how can I put this here? Was there a difference, a divide? Were Rashard and Rod on the same page in their teachings? Because that's from fans' perspective, we felt like there was too many cooks in the kitchen, and it kind of seemed that way during the game day. But what is your thoughts on Chris Rashard, Rod Marinelli? I know great coaches, but I mean just kind of the systems and the teaching.
Okay, so was it 4 games in the whole offseason? I'll say this: they balance each other out in terms of like personality, right? Uh, Rod Marinelli, he gets fired up too, but I think they complement each other real well. At least they did a good job, like tossing it back to each other in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, and on the field on game days. Like there was no issue with that.
Okay.
I felt like for the most part, they were pulling in the same direction from a just it's a cover 3 kind of team.
So like a schematic
like
standpoint.
Yeah.
Because we have this belief that
But-
Rashard teaches a certain way.
He does teach a certain way for sure. I'll put it like this, just based off of like the power, structure of technically Rod Marinelli was the DC and Coach Rashard was the DB coach / passing coordinator.
Yep.
Your passing coordinator. If Chris Rashard was the DC, I believe he would have done things differently, if that makes sense. So you got to just, he would do things because you're still under somebody. You know what I'm saying? I believe they complemented each other well. I believe Rod Marinelli listened to a lot of things that he wanted to do and, deferred to a lot of things sometimes that he wanted to do. But you never really have free range if you're not the
Shot caller.
The shot
If
caller.
you're not the man.
If you're not the man.
There's
So
a hierarchy in the league, so
yeah, for sure. So I don't did that help or hurt them? Who knows? Because you really don't know
what would have happened?
If you're not in there when they're actually coming up with the game plan, you don't know how much of what was whose. You don't know if it would have been better if Chris had less of a say. You don't know if it would have been worse if Chris had less of a say. You know what I mean? Because you don't know, but you just know that there's conversations going on when they're making these game plans, when they're coming together, like how we're going to do things, how we're going to attack things. They're going back and forth. But if you were the head guy in charge, the DC, just the shot, you don't really defer to anybody. You would do things completely your way for the most part. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to take a backseat to this and that. So, but I thought now I wasn't there in the season when shit hit the fan. So I'm just saying I wasn't there in the season when shit hit the fan, how that was going. But in my time there, through the offseason and through the 4 preseason games, their relationship looked pretty great. They complement each other real well. Didn't see no, trying to outdo one another kind of thing, or because I mean, like when you're in the league, when players will tell you this, when there's a coaches, everybody's human. Players are humans, coaches are humans, everybody's human.
Yes.
So if a coach calls something consistently that's not good, or other coaches don't believe in it, they make little faces. They be like, dang, what do you do? Like, so it's real subtle, and you peep that as a vet. So I didn't get none of that. I didn't feel none of that when I was there, and that's how you know
they respected Rod and it had a respect for each other.
They respected Rod, but they respected Coach Rashard, because Rashard was the one that was calling the plays in my time there.
Okay.
Like every single play, from first down through third down. So, I mean, they might put the game plan together, and that part I didn't understand. Like, here's the DC, but here's the guy I'm getting all the plays from. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just who's calling the sheet. Who cares? But my point is, I never seen or got the sense from anyone in the organization like what we call what again? Like you didn't see that. I didn't see those kind of things, and you sometimes see that, other places.
You want to add on to that big game?
Oh, I just want to add on. I mean, I think it was a conflict because when Matt Eberflus was there and he was up for possibly being a defensive coordinator, one of the things that was telling to me when he went to Indianapolis was he said that I do not want to step on Rod's toes. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here to Indy. You know what that told me in my heart? I want to control this defense myself. So I'm leaving to go to Indy where this can be my defense. If I'm not if I stay in Dallas, I'm not going to really be the defensive coordinator. Rod is still going to have his hands in it, and I don't want the friction. I want to have freedom to be able to do what I want. So that's why I'm going over here to Indy. That's what I felt in my heart, because why would he come out and say that? And I feel like that is what reared his ugly head during the season. That's why there was so much inconsistency with this defense, just in my opinion. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of glad, not for Richard and them, not to have a job and things, but I'm kind of glad that you don't have to deal with this, because it needs to be one mind. And I feel like it was back and forth between those two. Or why would Eberflus even say that? I don't want to step on Rod's toes, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave. No, that's him saying I don't.
I say this. This is not really my theory, but just off my episode last week with Cheeto, this to me is a bigger part than what you're saying. Because he talked about in the season. So last year, Dallas Cowboys, not last season, the season before, wasn't no issue when they had success and they were a top 5 defense, if I remember. No one was saying anything about how's Richard and Robin. It was like, it looked like a happy marriage. It's when what do you say, pressure bust pipes.
Yeah.
Cheeto talked about on the podcast without throwing anybody under the bus. But like I said, if you got to listen to the episode again and read between the lines, he talked about, like I asked him, was the pressure of every week hearing that Coach Garrett might get fired, did that weigh on the players? Did the talks of Super Bowl bust, hearing Jerry Jones always talk after the game, weigh on the players? And he said, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to throw anybody in the bus, but it didn't get to us players. So what I'm telling you, my little 2 cents, reading between the lines, and he talked about things, and players, I know this part. He said, all week it's one way, this is what we're talking about, this is what we're doing, and then the game comes, something happens, and then we just abort.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
oh my gosh.
Say
that one more time.
Say that one more time. Say it loud.
So he talks about, like, I asked him about, the pressure of the Super Bowl bust kind of thing, because I felt that it was Super Bowl kind of bust kind of year, and just my time there. So I asked him, hey, did that weigh into y'all into the season? He said, no, not as players. And I asked him, like, what about the talks of, Coach Garrett getting fired? If you lose again, is he going to get fired? Jerry Jones, he said, that didn't get to us players. We were really the same. He said, now the coaches, I can't speak for them. I would say that, and during the week, it's all this and that. And then when game day comes, you see things start to change like real fast. And so as a player, I can go back to my time in the league, not talk about any particular coach, but when a coaching staff feels pressure, or because they always tell us players, like, don't let the game get too big. It's just a game. Like, don't let the moment get too big. Something bad's going to happen, just don't let it shake you. But as coaches, sometimes it'll be human. Like the first quarter, they're human. Like I said, they're humans. One thing happens and it's like, scratch that game plan. But as a player, you feel like, if this was so
no, this is crazy.
Wow.
We talked about for 5 days, this one game plan is supposed to be so great.
Goodness.
How are we aborting it in 5 minutes? How are we not so confident?
Wow.
Like, how are we say, and I'm just giving examples from like other teams I've been on, how we say, hey, we're gonna do this coverage, and then it then took one play and we're like, oh no, we're gonna do this that we didn't practice on because we got shook. So I'm read between the lines how you want. This is all just us guessing, right? But I believe the pressures of last year, Super Bowl bust, the head coach might get fired, that might have played a bigger effect on the relationship of Coach Richard, Rob Marinelli, and any coach on that staff, more so than just in general. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody knows once the head coach is gone, what are the assistants going to do? Majority of the time, there's not a lot of carryover, between the regime.
Look at it right now.
That's going to weigh on everybody. You know what I mean? And when jobs are on the lines, that's when something that
they go back to what they're comfortable with.
Okay, put like this. When jobs are on the line, so like say you're Rob Marinelli. Here's an example. And obviously Coach Richard wouldn't even be on the Dallas Cowboys if he wasn't a great coach. He's a great coach, obviously, from what he did in Seattle, right?
Yes. So
you're giving him more, you're not micromanaging, giving him more freedom. Things are going well. But all right, that's the year before, right? Now we're talking about last season. All right, this is Super Bowl bust year. The head coach talking about he might get fired. Now you're going to start to micromanage. You're going to be like, why'd you call that? You know what I mean? Where the year before, you probably weren't even going to even question it because everything was all good. And the whole pressure of everything, pressure gets on to everybody. Players, coaches, owners, it gets to everybody. So I think that was the biggest factor last year, more so than just personal, power struggle dynamics.
Man, that
You know.
was some mother fire. And let me tell you why. And the reason why me and James is just sitting here marveling at this is because we had this same theory throughout
We have
the
been
season.
talking about this on our podcast and everything.
And the greatest example of it, and I know you're a defensive guy, right? But on the offensive side of the ball, we heard after the Saints game, we were like, what? In week 3 it was, Tony Pollard had over 100 yards, a touchdown, looked amazing. The next week, they go to New Orleans. Guess how many snaps
He don't
got?
touch the ball.
Zero touches. And they asked him after the game, hey, well, what happened to Tony Pollard? And he said, well, throughout the week, he was game planned to play. I'm not sure what happened during the game. And this happened frequently. And we've heard that multiple times. And to hear you say, that, Cheeto has that same, I don't want to say theory, but, hey, we're fine. But it seemed like we did one thing during the week, and then come game day, that thing changed. As fans studying the team and trying to cover the team, we noticed that, but we never had that insight. And for you to bring it there was amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
James, go ahead. You want to add on?
Huh?
I thought you wanted to add on to something about that. But
no. I'm good. You got it. I appreciate George's talk and all the good realism. That's the main reason why we wanted to bring you on here, because we wanted realism.
Yes.
We wanted the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Gave us the truth.
Hey, I know you had that receiver question for me. I'm really interested on this one, though. Go ahead, James.
What's that?
Who the best receiver he's covered?
Oh, yeah. We have been talking about it. Who is one of the best receivers that, since you've been in the league, give me like your top 5 receivers you went against, if you can do that right now. I'll put you on the
top
spot. Can you do that?
Top five, no order, but all right, Calvin Johnson.
Megatron.
I remember Megatron. So was it third year in the league? We're playing in Detroit. We beat them though, but it was late in the game. Matthew Stafford got an arm, and I'm in cover 2. I'm covering, so I got the deep half, and Calvin runs a deep post. I'm on top of it. I'm in great position. One thing I've always been is I've been like a technician. I'm pretty disciplined. I don't give up like too many deep balls. So I'm in great position. I'm over the top, and the play extends like kind of like almost like a Hail Mary kind of play, but not really. And he takes the post from my side of the field to the other half. So I pick up the other safety, and then you have the middle run through, which is the middle linebacker, which is Vontaze Burfict, and the other safety, like I said, the other half is Reggie Nelson. These are all great players. You know what I'm saying? And he just throws it up. So I'm on top. So you're not. I'm trying to paint the picture. I'm not beat. I'm not like.
And you 6'4", so
I'm on top of him. So I'm ahead of him. Matthew Stafford still throws it. He jumps over Reggie and Vontaze, who are behind him, but he jumps kind of like box me out in the air. And there's a picture of it. Go look at it if y'all want to. And I've jumped over him, right? And I'm trying to hit the ball from over the top of his head, if that makes sense. So he's jumping, but he puts his hands out. And so he catches over them, but he catches it in front of me. So yeah, Megatron, obviously, he's top 5.
We got nightmares as Cowboy fans from Megatron. You remember the game he had 300 yards against Dallas?
Man.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, he's a monster. So AB, Antonio Brown, he's up there, top 5 for sure. Got to throw in AJ. Never played against him, but seen him in practice. He's definitely top 5. Does anybody else stand out? Do I remember? I played a lot.
Well, you played probably against all of them.
Yeah.
What about did you play against D-Hop often?
Yeah, we did. He great too. You gotta ask like the corners about him. I'm just saying like kind of like players that I impacted, that I had to cover in the game plan a lot more. So these are guys. Now D-Hop, I would just say those 3 stand out to me the most. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, because those are big boys. So you would have had to they probably said, listen, you 6'3", they 6'4", 6'5". You go out there and you cover them, or you cover the back end, and if they jump, you should be able to be good. But Megatron, a whole nother animal, man.
A whole nother animal.
Whole nother beast.
Like you get to the NFL, you realize like you get to the NFL first, you go through rookie mini camp. You're like, oh yeah, I know I'm sorry. Like you see guys that ain't got no business being in the NFL. I'm being for real. You go because rookie mini camp, they're gonna have the guys that get drafted, and they're gonna have a whole bunch of guys to just like make the camp work. That's back in the days when they actually used to like practice. Nowadays, I think they do just like
walk through.
Walk through. So you needed at least 40 guys. So they would sign like a whole trial guys, rookie guys, rookie mini camp. There'll be guys they'd be like, man, what? Oh yeah, I'm good. Then you get with the team, you go to OTAs, and then you're like, okay, they better. But you like, nah, I belong. And then there's always a couple players that you like, oh, this is the NFL. And AJ, I'm just saying, this is like AJ is one of those guys. You're like, all right, no, this is the NFL. Like, all right, this is why it's the elite of the elite, the best of the best, and this is what you gotta take, just what you gotta strive for. These are the type of guys that you gotta try to cover, like, because every team is gonna have a guy like AJ Green to some degree in terms of like just talent and ability. Every team got someone on their roster like that. So then you're like, oh, that's the NFL.
So it's like getting gut punched that first time. Yeah, I mean, you
Just-
go up against one of them top guys. Give me your quick story on the first time. I think it would have been AJ Green at your time because I think y'all came in about the same. So give me your first time you went up in practice against AJ Green or whoever the first NFL wide receiver in practice you covered, and were you kind of like, okay, welcome to the NFL?
Well, that wasn't really my welcome to the NFL moment. Just seeing him because he's a receiver. I'm a safety.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really covering him in one-on-one.
Okay.
Plus, you wasn't gonna get the rep with a guy like AJ, the safety as a rookie. It'd be like another vet. But you can see it. I'm seeing how he's doing these guys, these first-round guys, these other Pro Bowlers, and so I see that. My welcome to the NFL moment was rookie year. It is the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's a primetime game, first game
Physical
ever.
team.
Physical team, but I see Ray Lewis. I see every. I don't get starstruck for whatever reason. I just see him like, oh, okay. I actually was like, oh, I'm big. I said I'm big though, cause I thought Ray was gonna be bigger. He was yoked up, but I was just like, hey, I'm a big boy too.
He was solid at that time.
He was solid. I'm saying like high everything. I was like, I just thought he would tower over me. But anyways, that wasn't really my welcome to him. My welcome to the NFL moment was on kickoff. I run it down on kickoff, like I just talked about. I'm a big boy, right? But the NFL is different. It's grown man strength. There's technique. You just can't muscle everybody out the way like you did in college. Like in college, right? Like you need technique. You can't just muscle everybody out the way. That's why you're gonna have these combines this week. It's gonna be great. But at the end of the day, the person with the best technique is, for the majority of the time in the league, is always gonna be the better player because everybody's within their relatively same strength. Everybody's within the relatively same speed. There's a couple of guys who just have world-class speed, but the majority of everybody's within, a couple tenths of each other. So anyways, I run down on kickoff. I'm like the R2 or L2. I run right into the dude. In college, I could just run into a guy with my size, and they'd probably knock over, and I would just button press and keep going. I just run into him, give him my chest, and he latched on with both hands. He grabbed me like a daddy would grab a little son. And I'm like, and I'm using all my might. I'm trying to shake him loose. And he's just holding on to me like, where you going? And now when I realized, oh yeah, welcome to the NFL. Like, this, I don't know who do this. You know what I'm saying? It's another guy on the team, on the roster, and he over here clamping me up like I stole something. And so that's how I realized, yeah, like Debo for real. So that's when I realized, oh yeah, this the league, and you just can't come down there like shit sweet. You got to really put it on people. And from that moment on, it was like, let's go. It took I would say my rookie year was like a good learning experience. I just played special teams the whole time, but special teams, that's where a lot of respect. Special teams, you got to be. Special teams is for the men of men because, like offense and defense, you have like a lot of plays, and so I don't want to say you're tempoing yourself, but every play you get tired, if that makes sense. Special teams, you most likely been resting, and you have one play full speed all go with about a 50-yard head start. It's gonna really test your will, test your might, test your want to. So.
Well, the league absolutely knew it would. That's why they changed the kickoffs. They said, listen, so many dudes is running down here 110 miles per hour getting rocked. So
I like you seen the XFL kickoff?
I was going to ask you that.
Switch it.
It looks solid. I like how it's just different. I think that's pretty cool. I think that the 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point conversion thing.
Yes, I love that.
I think the NFL is going to take something from it.
I think they won't. Let me tell you why.
They need to take that 1 point, 2 point, 3 point conversion. I like the kickoffs, but I really love the 1 point, the 2 point, and the 3 point conversions.
Why don't you think they'll take anything?
They should, but they won't because in business you never legitimize the competitor. By doing that, it legitimizes what the XFL is doing, and people are like, oh, if they took it from the XFL must know what they got going on. I'm not about to bring no bit. If I'm the NFL, I'm not gonna even. We're not gonna talk about you in the same breath. You don't. What's the saying?
Mention you.
We don't compete what you don't compare. So we're not gonna take anything that you guys are doing, even if it's better. Then what the NFL will do before they do it, they'll take something similar and try to rebrand it and slightly tweak it. But they will never just take it like that because it will legitimize the XFL, and that's a competitor. You know what I mean? So I don't think I could see them doing that.
Well, if
at all.
anybody knows about that, it's Vince McMahon from his time in fighting with the WCW when he was a WWF guy. So he knows about not legitimizing the opponent, and we know how petty the NFL could be. So it's very possible what you're saying. Before we head out of here, man, because I could keep talking, bro. We could keep going forever, man.
Yeah, we could talk for hours, but we gotta be good. We gotta be good.
This has been great. Before we get out of here, please let everybody know about the Gym Bag Podcast, where to find it, and all your your Twitters if you want people on there as well. Plug all that stuff, man, because if you've been listening to this episode, you can tell how insightful this guy is. So go ahead and plug all that stuff in, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Gym Bag Podcast, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Buzzsprout, we're on Google. It's on Instagram. That's at the Gym Bag Podcast. You can follow my personal Twitter. That's George _IIoka. That's ILOKA. I really do a decent job of interacting with people who shoot me comments on there, and I really engage you. Like, I'm going to debate you like I debated the guys today. Like, if you say something, come ready. Don't just say anything half-ass on there and think that you're not going to get a reply. So just shoot me back with some feedback. If you ever just put the hashtag retweet delete, I'll search it. I'll look at it, and if it's something good enough, we'll put it on the show as a possible topic. So, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate y'all guys for having me on the show, man. It's great talk.
Oh,
I
man.
love to talk sports. For sure.
This has been awesome, man. I mean, I'm going to speak for
Awesome.
Big Game James, but this has
You're
been
speaking
great.
for me. Awesome.
Listen, y'all, make sure y'all go follow that Gym Bag Podcast on iTunes, Spotify. Get at him on Twitter. I think it's George _ILOKA. And keep rocking with Big Game and Skywalker. We're going to bring y'all the heat just like we did today. Thank you, George. I appreciate you, man.
Already.
Maybe we'll do this again, brother.
Maybe.
Salute.